Now, there's a news story effervescing out there that just has the drive-by so excited they can't see straight because they think they have found a Republican version of Harvey Weinstein, and he just happens to work in the White House. You familiar with this story, Mr. Snerdley? This is the guy from yesterday who had who had abused his ex-wives and who have now gone public with photos and details and evidence and how he has now been fired. And nobody knew the guy was there. He's a secretary. He's been called Trump's right-hand man all of a sudden. And he's been called John Kelly's right-hand man. He was very close to the chief of staff, John Kelly. And he's now dating Hope Hicks. And that is a big hook for these people. Hope Hicks is about 29 or 30. She is a beautiful, very attractive woman, and she is Trump's communications director. Her office, I have seen it, is right outside the Oval Office. Her desk is the first desk that Trump encounters when he exits a particular door from the Oval Office. She was originally hired by Ivanka to work for Ivanka in her businesses, and she eventually migrated to the entire Trump organization and stayed with Trump during the campaign. She was the primary press contact, and now she's in the White House. Turns out she's dating this guy, and the media just can't get enough of this story because they finally found what they've been looking for ever since Weinstein, a high-placed Republican engaging in this kind of abuse. The AP story, for example, White House aide resigns after allegations of spousal abuse. Now, CNN thinks this is the biggest story of the year. And if not the year, the biggest story of the week. And yet, up until yesterday, who'd ever heard of this guy? The UK Daily Mail actually broke the story. And their headline today is exclusive: Hope Hicks' new boyfriend, Rob Porter, resigns from White House after both ex-wives accuse him of abuse. One of President Trump's top White House aides resigned yesterday morning following allegations of domestic abuse leveled against him by his two ex-wives. His name is Rob Porter, staff secretary. He said in a written statement, allegations that became public this week are outrageous and simply false. He said photos published of his former spouses, in which one of them appears to have a black eye, were given to the media nearly 15 years ago. The reality behind them is nowhere close to what is being described. That, of course, doesn't matter. Whatever the reality here is irrelevant. What the drive-bys want this to be is what it is going to be. And the drive-bys will dig up anything they think will give Trump a black eye. And this, to have a sexual deviant, sexual abuser as Trump's right-hand man, and he's been there all this time. And all this time he's been a sexual abuser, and nobody knew, and now we know. And we know that Trump is the same kind of guy. You see how they're trying to put this all together. And then the chief of staff, John Kelly, actually made a statement that you could construe as a defense of this guy. And they're outraged over that. They think John Kelly, upon learning what the guy did, should have been fired the moment he found out about it. Here's what Porter said. These outrageous allegations are simply false. I took the photos given to the media nearly 15 years ago. The reality behind them is nowhere close to what's being described. I have been transparent and truthful about these vile claims, but I will not further engage publicly with a coordinated smear campaign. So anyway, it went back and forth, and they found pictures of the guy, and they found pictures of him standing side by side with Trump and side by side with John Kelly, the chief of staff. They quote his two ex-wives, and they're out there dumping on the guy pretty good. He's 40 years old. He's been credited with working with the chief of staff to control the flow of information to the president. And what that means, what that means is that Trump gets less Breitbart and less InfoWars and more Politico and more mainstream news. It used to be apparent, according to what we've been told, the Oval Office door was open and you could walk in with anything you found anywhere on the internet and give it to Trump, and he'd take it for what it was and react to it. But the new chief of staff put limits on who was able to get in there. This is one of the reasons Omarosa supposedly left, is because her access was denied because she was showing Trump a bunch of fashion show stuff. They thought this is more important than the latest fashion, so they dumped Omarosa out of there. Now she's back on reality TV. I want to play for you Jake Tapper. I want you to hear this. Jake Tapper, yesterday on CNN, on his show called The Lead with Jake Tapper, I want you to listen to how they're characterizing the discovery of Rob Porter and his alleged abuse of his two ex-wives over on CNN.
There are basic lines of human decency, norms to which society generally agrees and to which we adhere, and we continue to see the Trump presidency eroding these lines to this list of those marching alongside Nazis and those accused of sexually abusing children. The White House has now added someone accused by two ex-wives of spousal abuse. I just wanted to once again note a further erosion of standards for what I thought we'd all agreed was not okay, not acceptable, not moral. White supremacist rallies, child molesters, domestic abusers.
So this is how they're characterizing the type of people that are in the Trump administration and Trump himself. The white supremacist rallies, that's a reference to Trump apparently not having any problem with the Nazis down there in Charlottesville. Child molesters, I thought that was Anthony Weiner. And the domestic abusers. And, you know, there was never any such reference as this ever during the Clinton-Lewinsky episode. It's only 20 years later when they get their minds right about that, and that's to simply clear the decks so that they can go all in on Trump as one of these reprobates. They weren't concerned about the morality for the country when Clinton was doing what he was doing with Lewinsky. Well, back then it was just sex, and it didn't have anything to do with the way he did his job. It was nobody's business. Here's Dana Bash, CNN's New Day. Chris Cuomo talking to her about when did the White House know who this guy was? When did they know what he was doing?
This is so complicated on so many levels because we have to remind people that Rob Porter is dating Hope Hicks, who is probably the most important aide in the White House.
I don't care who's dating whom in the White House. I really don't.
But it does matter here.
Why does it matter who he's dating? And that was Fredo Cuomo, by the way. I don't care who he's dating. Who in the White House? I really don't care who he's dating. And Dana Bash says, well, it matters here. Why does it matter? Well, yeah, look, I mean, if I wanted to work at it, I could put two and two together here. But why does it matter? Why does it matter who Hillary was dating when Bill was stooping Lewinsky? Why would that? I never reported that. What does it matter who Hope Hicks is dating? Well, Rush, because this guy, my God, look at sexual abuse, ex-wives, and she could be next. They just can't help themselves. That Jake Tapper stuff's so over the top. It just is evidence they've been saving up. They've been waiting. They've been hoping. They've been praying that somebody could be portrayed as the Republican version of Harvey Weinstein or Woody Allen. They've been praying. They've been cursing Ronan Farrow for not going out and finding these people instead of focusing on Democrats. Now they've got this guy who nobody ever heard of. He's dating Hope Hicks. And so that means everything. You tell me if you understand that.